express that in a conversation because quite obviously the kids are not getting that support.
So what should I call him as a teacher? Is it said? Is that
Something that might be
Alex.
all right, cool. Hi, Alex. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Great, great. So today we're here to go over some of the results of the assessment. I just want to get a feel for how your class has been doing
Yeah.
and just talk to you a little bit about our last meeting and what took place.
Sure.
So could you tell me a little bit about what's happening in your class right now?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we saw in that last meeting, the kids are struggling with all three of those question types.
Right.
And I think I think the assessment is just, it's harder than what our students are ready for. And it just hurts me as someone who loves the kids and wants them to see them be successful. It hurts me to see them struggle on something that I think they just can't access.
Right. Well, I know that it's our job to kind of get them to this level, and what I really want to do is get us to the point where we're looking at the results and how this cycle of improvement is helping students over time. So I know it's frustrating at times, but I know that if, as a community, we work together collectively, we can get students to where they need to be. So tell me a little bit about what's been happening and what things you want to do with your class.
Well, I think a lot of good things have been happening. I think the learning that's happening in the class is really good. I think the problem is that they've been passed along from one grade to the next. And what am I supposed to do at that point? Like, I have students that honestly, I don't know why they were able to move on from that, but they just really haven't been set up for success. I'm not sure what to do in that scenario.
Well, definitely what we don't want you to do, and I know you mentioned this in the last meeting, is to go back to some of the old ways that we were teaching, because we know that in order to prepare them to be 21st century learners, that Common Core is integrated in all the other classes. So if you don't expose them to that now, then they're going to be in for it later when they get to the next grade. So what we don't want to do is kind of add insult to injury and continue to do the same things that we were doing. We want to try to expand that. So I'm just kind of curious what kind of efficacy strategies that we talked about were you using in your class?
Well, I mean, I think that I'm using lots of efficacy strategies, and I think my issue isn't about having standards and expectations for them, it's about what we're setting for them. So there's this common assessment that we have, and it's just too difficult for them, and I really want to be able to adjust the passages to better align to what their skills are at. I mean, some of these kids just don't have the ability to do what we're asking them in that common assessment, and they're coming in from us so far behind that they feel overwhelmed. So if I were to pick them instead, just do assessments that are more aligned to what they are able to access, I feel like they feel more successful and feel less overwhelmed, rather than this common assessment that we've struggled with.
Yeah, I mean, it's our job to make sure that the students are successful, but I think for our community of practice, it's even more important that we really stick to the efficacy strategies and have something that's comparable across the board. So if you start changing your practice and other people start changing their practice, and I think we'll go back to being individual teachers and not teaching a true cohort, and I think that's where we need to go with our group. And I know if we look at our SMART goal, that's what we said we were going to do. We were going to stick to the strategies that we think are effective. So if there's not some effective strategies that you think you're using, because you mentioned there's a bunch of them that you are using that you think are working, then let's try to look for some more effective strategies. And if there isn't, then let's change some of what you're doing right now to be more effective.
Yeah. And I hear you. It just to me feels like Common Core is built on this ideal, and it's just not built considering the backgrounds of some of our kids. I think I should keep doing what I know is best for our students. The people who wrote Common Core don't know what's best for our students.
So that's hardcore decision making right there, because you got to think about our group. We're all trying to move our students to the same level of competency, and by having some strategies that we do in common, we're definitely going to benefit from that. Have you been doing any of the closed reading or some of the other efficacy strategies? Could you at least give me some examples of some things that you're doing that are at least positive and making some good outcomes for students?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm doing the closed readings, but I'm doing it in text that they can access. I'm doing some of the graduate release time, but I'm doing it with texts that I feel like are at their level. These students are so far below they've been passed along that they're sitting in my 10th grade classroom, but not being able to access 10th grade material. And this Common Core that's built on this, I think, unrealistic. sort of playing field, because that's not where my students are at second grade level. They can't access it. So I think I'm doing things, but I want to be able to do it with text that they can get to.
Well, I can definitely give you some graphic organizers that might be able to help you with the students who are having a lot of trouble accessing some of the more complex text. But it's important that as a group that we stay consistent in giving them the access to this higher level of material, because we have to increase their rigor and their understanding. And we know that if we continue to reach deep, and we have this in our SMART goal as well, that every student can achieve. So no matter where they're at right now, if we continue to access, have them access these difficult texts, they're going to eventually be able to understand. And we might need to scaffold it more than we have, but changing the text really changes the dynamic of what we're able to test our students on, and we won't have consistent results for the team. And I think that's the most important thing to me. So I'm hoping that I can convince you to really stick to your guns and give them the tougher responsibility of accessing these harder text, but also maybe help you out by giving you some graphic organizers that might help you with some of the students who are struggling.
Yeah,
Does that seem reasonable?
I think I can do that. I would be interested in trying some graphic organizers.
So let's give that a shot for the first round, and then if not, we'll come back and we'll revisit it. But at least we have a starting point, and we have a place where we can kind of have a happy medium where students who aren't accessing the text well can really get some of the help that they need with this scaffolded graphic organizer that maybe they weren't getting before.
Okay.
So let's give that a shot. All right, thanks a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.